Welcome back everyone. Let's go ahead and talk about the newly released Apple Watch SE, and let me go ahead and review it for you guys. Now, this Apple Watch came out, just like about 2 weeks ago. It was a little bit less than 2 weeks ago, and I went ahead, picked it up, and since then, I've had a pretty good time with it. And I feel like out of both watches that have came out and out of the 3 watches that are available right now from Apple.com, this is probably going to be the best selling Apple Watch from everybody's opinions I've seen on Reddit, as well as the view count from the videos I've done. It looks like the Apple Watch SE is getting more traction than the Apple Watch Series 6. So that also has a little bit of an indication to me that the SE is probably going to be the better selling one. Now, price wise, like I said before, this is the best asset for this specific Apple Watch. Apple knows that they can make a lot of money off the hardware, but they can also make a lot of money from people being invested in the ecosystem and especially going to the cloud. And I don't know what they're going to do with this specific Apple Watch, but I think another big selling point of them was the Apple Fitness Plus, whatever the thing was called. And basically it's like a subscription model for, fitness and stuff. And I feel like with the Apple Watch, they're willing to, decrease the price of the Apple Watch if they can, get them to, subscribe to a Fitness Plus thing or buy an iPhone or anything like that. Now for $279, you are getting the base model, which I personally think is a really good deal, but I would still probably recommend getting the upper tier model. And I'll leave both models linked down in the description below from Amazon, so you can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. And they are exactly the same prices from Apple. They may even be a little bit cheaper if you're watching this like a couple months later. Now looking around the specific Apple Watch, I think first of all, it's still a great looking device. They really haven't changed anything from the external. So if you're getting the Series 6 or Series 4 even, they're all going to be looking exactly the same. Now, the display on it, I think, is really good. All Apple Watches have great displays for the most part. And honestly, if you give me the first Apple Watch and this one, I probably wouldn't notice that big of a difference. But the fact of the matter is that the Apple Watch itself, you're interacting with the display, you're using all these things, and you really don't care about the pixels per inch. You don't really care even how, smooth it is going from one panel to the other, even the speed sometimes. You just care about what you can get from that specific watch. You need the information on time, you need this and that. And that's why I think the performance is probably the most important aspect of an Apple Watch, the performance and the accuracy. And what I can tell you is that going from the Apple Watch Series 2, I've had the first Apple Watch, I've had the Series 2, and now I've had the Series 4 and the SE. And every single year I go and upgrade, it seems like it gets a little bit better at accurately predicting, the health, how many steps I have every day, how much this, how much that. With my Series 0, for example, the first Apple Watch I ever had and the first Apple Watch that ever came out, it seemed to me that I was like getting way more steps in and all that stuff than I actually was, which made me feel a lot better. Then I switched over to the Series 2 and I found that it actually, decreased a little bit, but I was like, I was doing the same exact things. And then with the Series 4, the exact same thing happened. It went down more. And I don't think it's because I'm working out less or I'm not moving as much. I think it's because these things are getting more accurate over time. And with the SE, it's just another addition into that layer. And it's going to be giving you way more accurate results. On top of that, you have the ECG capability. You can measure your heart rate and all those things. And that's something that's very important. You also have fall detection from the Apple Watch SE. And in terms of a health conscious move, getting an Apple Watch will keep you kind of in the loop of all these different things that are going on in terms of your activity. And that's why I like my Apple Watch. When I'm running, whenever I'm doing something, I don't really have to measure the time. I don't have to worry about all these things. I just set my Apple Watch. I just look at the steps that I do every day. As long as I'm hitting that goal that I'm set. And this Apple Watch SE is perfect for that. And even for the top tier people who want to run marathons and all that stuff, it can accurately predict so many things. And I think that's the biggest advantage for the SE, even the Series 6. It does a better job from previous Apple Watches at determining it. If you're actually running, if you're actually not running, if you're swimming, if you're doing this, if you're doing that, it can predict it better. With my Series 2, Series 3, it did an okay job. It gets better over time. But with this SE, I noticed that it did a better job of predicting and kind of accurately measuring my health and kind of my activity throughout the day, which is something that's really, really important for these type of Apple Watches. Now, software-wise, it's obviously going to be fine. It has watchOS 7. It's going to get you from point A to point B. It's going to be great. And, software, I think, is great on these watches. And to give you an example, a watchOS is built around these newer Apple Watches, the Series 5, the SE, and the Series 6. They're keeping those in mind. So it's not really going to mess up on these devices too much. It's going to mess up on the older ones a little bit. And this device is going to be getting software lifecycle for a bit of time. It's not getting, outdated today. It's going to be lasting for quite a bit of time. And I would say probably 3-4 years of software updates for these watches. It's definitely not as long as iPhones, but it's still a really good amount of software, and you're going to be perfectly fine when it comes down to it. Now, because it does have that S5 5 chip inside of it. It's not the newest one like the S6, but I still think it's perfectly fine. The Series 5 was a great performing device, and the Watch SE is really, really good too. Like, I compared it to a ton of other watches. I even compared it to the Series 6, and maybe there was a little bit of difference, but honestly, it was like kind of the same. Like, you're not going to notice this day by day. You'll notice it maybe like 3-4 years from now when you compare SE to the Watch, 9 or something. But right now and probably forever, you're not going to notice it, and you'll probably end up breaking the watch and upgrading before you even notice this thing, being slow or anything like that. So performance wise, it'll go ahead and, do everything you need to. You're not like playing games on your watch. You're not doing anything crazy. For basic watch stuff and even non-basic stuff like measuring your this while you're doing this, and even all this other stuff, and responding to texts and taking phone calls and all that stuff, the Apple Watch can definitely handle it for sure. You're not going to feel like you're missing out on anything. And one of my favorite things about an Apple Watch is storing music onto it and then playing it while you're on the go. And this is a perfect watch for that. You can get a storage model that's, I don't know, I think it tops out at 16 gigs or something. You can go ahead and put all that music on here, take a run without bringing your phone, and not have to worry about anything, which is a really cool asset for this Apple Watch. So really, when it comes down to the SE's performance, perfectly fine. You're not going to feel like you have a slow device. And even comparing it to the top tier Apple Watch Series 6, I didn't really notice that big of a difference when I was comparing them. So maybe you will. Maybe watchOS 8 or watchOS 9 will mess something up for these watches, but as of right now, I think it's perfectly fine for sure. Now, battery life has actually been about the same as my Series 5. It doesn't have an always on display, so that's kind of one thing that's taking less power. However, that is also kind of a caveat, because you would kind of want more features built in, and with an Apple Watch SE, you're not getting that always on display, but as a side effect of that, you're saving more battery technically. So that's another really cool thing. The Apple Watch SE, I think, has pretty good battery life. Again, if you're getting this Apple Watch, you're not going to feel like you have a super bad battery life device, and going from the Apple Watch SE to the Apple Watch Series 6 or whatever, you're going to notice less battery life. But I feel like going from the 40mm watch to the 44mm watch is going to give you a bigger difference in terms of battery life than going from the Series 6 to the SE or vice versa, you know what I mean? So I think getting the bigger Apple Watch is a better choice if you want better battery life, but even the smaller one is still perfectly fine, and it will definitely get you at least like a couple of days of use out of it. So to kind of sum up this video and to answer this specific review, is the Apple Watch SE worth it? Should you pick it up, or should you get an older model? I think if you have to go buy a brand new Apple Watch, I definitely would stray away from, picking up an Apple Watch Series 3. I honestly don't think that's worth it. I just think it's going to be outdated within a year or two, and it's really just not worth it at all, if I'm being honest. The Apple Watch SE, however, is probably my favorite watch to recommend to people right now. It gives you everything you want, and it really doesn't, compromise in anything. It's not like it has a watered down chipset. It has a newer chipset. It has the one from last year, still perfectly fine. It's great performance. It has pretty much everything you want out of it from a watch standpoint. You're not going to be playing games on it. You're not going to be going do anything crazy. You're going to look at texts and look at notifications and move on throughout your day and, monitor your activity. Other than that, I think this watch is perfect for like 95% of people out there. However, if you do want to go ahead and monitor your blood oxygen levels, if you want maybe a better performance, maybe you want that always on display, getting that Apple Watch Series 6 may be a better deal for you. But I think for about almost every single person watching this video, getting the Apple Watch SE is a perfect device. So that really pretty much covers it up. If you guys have any questions or anything, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys could hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel. More importantly, everything else, every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.